So today I got Rich Lee here with HomePride. I'm representing HomePride today with my HomePride hoodie. We've been working together I think since what, March, February?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Right on, man. So let's just walk through this. What were what was the business like when we got started?
So earlier in this year, definitely working through a lot of overload in the schedule. Had I don't know exactly how many projects, but too many projects going. I was in the early stages of onboarding some help
Mm-hmm.
that didn't work out, ended up creating more nightmares for me. But yeah,
Right.
just a lot of busy work, a lot of hectic scheduling and all the jobs and employees direct reporting to me. So that was kind of what
It's kind of a
what we're
nightmare.
starting with.
What you mentioned in the process of onboarding help? What was going on? What did that look like?
So yeah, I have let's see, I had some ads out for project management.
Hmm.
And over the years that ad's always been up and I've just been trying to sort through some of those. Thought I found a good fit, turned out to be a really bad fit. So kind of a
Right.
little bit of a setback.
What just for the guys listening, I mean, what was like what were the red flags and like did you notice them early? Did they come late? Like how what did that look like?
No, so the red flags came later, I would say. The employees were bringing me some concerns here and there, but I wasn't spending enough time to catch them really myself
Makes sense.
until we kind of hit some issues bigger than a flag. So
Right.
like
And
problems on jobs, problems with employees. So just kind of things were escalating a little bit too quickly and
yeah, man.
pretty much had to part ways with that project manager pretty quick
It,
after that.
that was pretty intense. That was like a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Yeah, so we survived. Luckily, we're able to get him to quit before any of the other employees to
I,
had to do
I,
anything drastic.
I like how you phrase that. Get him to quit. For the guys listening, what were some of the tactics you used to get this guy to leave on his own volition to avoid a lawsuit and avoid unemployment?
Yeah, I think the best thing for me with that was just holding him accountable to performance and not
Hmm.
letting him just kind of circle talk his way with a bunch of excuses.
Circle talk. I like how you phrase that. Circle talk. Like
Yeah, so
um when
just with point blank logic is hard to talk your way out of it. It's like,
yeah,
what was your excuse? And then they'll answer with something completely unrelated, and
it's like
that's usually your sign.
it's like black or white. It did or did not happen. Like
Yeah. So I think what happened was he felt like, okay, there's no way I'm going to be able to talk out of this, and he just kind of stormed off. And
sure,
yeah,
sure.
luckily, egos helped me there. Like he didn't want to take a
Right.
hit to the ego, so he told all the crew, like, "Oh, I'm leaving. I'm done," and
Sure.
that worked.
And no, it did. When so you talked earlier about your strategy being to start to create accountability. What were some of the things that you installed to like make it really clear that there's no wiggling out of this?
Well, I didn't have that stuff in place at the time. That was right along when we started kind of setting up
Hmm.
what you have is the ramp cards to basically the report card for the employees.
Right.
But he wasn't really here long enough. I think we might have done one intro period, which is still during that grace period of the ramp card. So
Right.
we never really got to give him his low scores. We were still in the
He,
friendly zone.
he,
We were like, yeah,
he
you're doing a three, but he was really like at a
the,
one. So
the simple fact he was being evaluated, I think, put a little bit of pressure on him.
yeah, that definitely exposes things. He's definitely was the type of person who just kind of talks his way and distracts and slips through the cracks. So
You, do,
it's it's just kind of that's on me for not rooting out why he wasn't at his other company. I didn't even call them, and
Right.
in hindsight, I probably would have got my answer and saved that problem.
No, it's interesting you said that. I was going to ask, what kind of advice would you give to your fellow contractors to avoid such a nightmare hire?
I think number one would be definitely call the old place of employment, and even the one they use as the reference. I always, in my opinion, is like, well, if they left the number, it's either a friend or fake or whatnot. But just call them and feel that out. And the other thing I would probably start recommending
Hmm.
is just call the company cold, like the publicly listed number, and see what, like, whoever answers the phone, hey, someone named so and so work for you guys, and just see what they say.
Yeah. Yeah. Why is he not there anymore? You don't come out and say that.
He said he was running the company. Like, what happened?
What happened?
Zuckerberg.
Yeah, no. So, and how much time does that take to make that phone call out of your day?
I mean, I would doubt it would take more than 10 minutes.
And how much time do you think that would save in a bad hire?
Well, in this case, I think he lasted 3 months. So
Yeah, and
whatever that amount of money is, the amount
yeah,
of damage to the jobs and schedule and all that adds
yeah.
up
The
a
only thing
much,
I mean, the
much
only thing I
bigger.
can think of, just off top of my head in the short time I knew this guy was him using the door measurements for a window order, and we had to reorder those windows.
Yeah, and also then trying to blame the SOPs, saying, well, that's what the SOP said, but when you read it with clear vision, it doesn't say that. So
Weird, the specs.
yeah, it was just all bad, and that was my fault for letting him.
Well,
His
no,
resume looked good. His
yeah.
The company he was at prior looks extremely high quality, but that's probably why he's not there.
You think it's a fair statement to say that maybe, in the course of a week, you were spending, at least an hour a day cleaning up after this guy?
Yeah, one form or another.
And so with him being with you for 3 months, that's 5 hours a week, 20 hours a month. A 10-minute phone call would have saved 60 hours of your life.
Plus the added anxiety, like what it's just it adds so much to the plate that you don't even want to have to deal with. It's just one of those things you don't even want to have to think about.
Right.
We have enough going on. So
Right.
someone causing internal drama and also adding to my daily workload
Sure.
just
Sure.
to pay
Sure.
a high salary. It's a joke.
Yeah, man. And so when we got started, you were about what, a $4 million shop?
Yeah. So the year before we did 3.5.
3.5. And where are we going to end this year?
I have a little bit of bill collecting to do, but we should just cross 5 million
That's
at the
crazy.
end of the year. So
We have a bet going, don't we?
that's for next year, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say you hit 8 million. I'm tattooing HomePride on my ass.
I didn't know where it was going.
No, I meant on my body.
You could choose where it goes.
Perfect. Yeah,
I'll
man.
I'll,
So
I'll
so
hit
that
I'll hit the goal.
that climb. Let's break this down because I'm not sure how many guys are listening at the 5 million mark, but what kind of advice do you have for the contractor that's just starting out and between like going from startup to his first million?
I would say the best thing you could do is start slow and make sure you get your foundations dialed in, because I was already a reasonably sized business.
Sure.
When I'm trying to implement systems is very difficult
Yeah.
because I'm stuck in the phase of getting these things done, trying to spend the time learning a completely new system and
Right.
implementing it, all while getting my employees to try and switch gears. It's just so much easier if you could start from scratch or from zero, or even
So,
if you're already in business but not doing
so,
crazy amount of work.
so what you're saying is get your stuff right when it's just you.
That's the best case scenario.
It's easiest.
If you can
What?
do it before you even have a client, that's the way to go, because you won't have anything to unwind.
Right, right. And when you took over Home Pride, Where was it at dollar wise?
We did like 600,000 when I took over.
Oh my gosh. So what did that climb look like going from 600 to 2 million?
So from 600 to 2 million, that probably took us a few years.
Mm-hmm. What
We,
were the major things you had to accomplish to be able to get to your first couple million in a year?
well, the biggest change was we were doing only one job site at a time.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that would sustain at the time. My dad and I were still basically co-owning
Mm-hmm.
and both drawing an equal salary, and one job site at a time doesn't, I could see that that wasn't sustainable.
Oh.
And he doesn't like to multitask. So that's where we kind of decided, let me,
So you became the business guy.
let me handle the workload and you
Yeah.
handle the job site physical stuff. And
Right.
from there, I just started ramping up to more projects at once and larger number of employees.
So you stepped into like a traditional CEO role and he was more of a project manager.
Yeah, I mean, but even still, I was still doing project management and he was more foreman.
Oh, quality. Got it.
Yeah, my dad likes more of the construction, building,
Hmm.
hands-on tasks, less management.
What was that relationship like when you took the reins and he was acting as foreman? How did you dance around the fact that he was your dad?
The good thing is he didn't want to be where I was, so that wasn't really a big issue.
Okay.
He was content just doing his thing, so
Right
it worked
on.
out okay. It
Got
wasn't too
lucky.
bad. I mean, he would say he even to this day he's just like, man, what you're doing a lot. Do you really want to do all this?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just don't know anything else, so this is what I do.
I hate to be peppering you with questions. I'm just fascinated with this. What was like the first system you tackled when you took over to turn this $600,000 company into a $2 million shop?
The first thing I tried to start doing was job costing.
Okay.
So my dad came from really old school where it's just like
Do we
bank
have money
account.
in the account?
Yeah, if there's money in the account, the company's doing fine. But I think the markup was like 1.2 or something like that. So we weren't even
Hmm.
making money. We were barely covering our tab.
Ay, ay, ay. Okay.
So
And so
then
you
learning markup and slowly ramping that up was kind of the next thing. So at least we were like making decent money.
and so when you started raising your prices because you realized that you guys are running break even, yeah, at what point did you start did you invest in the sales system first or did you go the marketing route?
No, we never really did the marketing route for the
Right.
first long period of time because we're still in a pretty small area
Yeah, everybody knew you.
and it just wasn't needed for the volume we were doing.
Right.
Right now we're at a volume point where if we
Sure.
want to scale above the 5 million, that's where
Right.
we're most likely going to need to increase
So
how we get our leads.
so as I understand it, you had the word of mouth to grow from 600 to 2 mil, and so you just needed to get the project management and job costing systems to unlock that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I
And
think word of mouth got us to close to 3,
yeah,
but
and
above that, that's when we started getting, we didn't even have reviews or Google My Business or any of that stuff until 2021.
right.
So
And
that's when we started getting some leads from Google
sure,
because we started getting reviews from clients. I mean, been in business almost 40 years and only started asking for reviews about 2 years ago.
sure. And how many reviews are you at?
I think we're at like 130.
That's impressive. That's impressive. So when you started job costing and you saw you were breaking even, I bet that was kind of a panic mode, right?
Yeah, that didn't feel good because we were working a
Your asses
minimum
off,
60 hours
right? So,
and usually more.
so when you started raising your prices, did you get any pushback from the customers?
Not really.
Damn.
I mean, we're doing it for free basically. So
Yeah. At what point?
bringing it up to a reasonable rate. We had a good reputation. I mean,
Yeah.
the clients don't know we weren't making money.
Sure, sure,
So
sure. At yeah, I yeah, I can't take any credit for your sales skill, but at what point did you start investing in sales training?
I would say the sales stuff I started investing in 21.
And how big were you?
In 21, we probably were in the like right around high twos.
Okay.
We had the COVID kind of like setback.
Yeah,
COVID 2020 would have been my biggest year probably
sure.
until to date, but like we did 1 million in the first quarter and we were rolling, and then the shutdown happened and we just kind of had to survive and finish our work. We didn't shut down, but we were
Sure.
definitely hindered.
Sure.
So then
So
we bounced back. So we were probably in the mid twos, if I remember, for
yep.
2021.
And so when you developed a good sales strategy, what improved first, your margin or the size of the company?
It was a little bit of both.
Okay.
We kind of did both. So increasing the margin for the gross profit and also protecting the time was kind of the biggest thing saved, because
Mm-hmm.
before 2021 we would go out to anyone who called, small geographical area, so it wasn't too bad, but we would go out to anyone, have
Do
good rapport,
anything.
have good rapport,
Yeah.
great clients, and then just find out the budget wasn't there. So it's like it just cost us a couple hours.
Yeah. So
So
that that'll
that was one of the bigger things that changed, is
yep.
doing some qualification over the phone, protecting, because I was the only person doing that site
That's
visit and estimating and sales. So I had to kind of protect my time a bit with the amount of
right.
business we.
And when you protected your time, you, did you invest that into bidding the right opportunities and project management? Where did that time go?
I just reinvested it back into doing more work. Unfortunately, I bought
Okay.
back some more time to work some more.
So for the guys listening, basically, from 600 to 2 mil, it was job costing and adopting a project management system. And just from what I'm hearing, going from 2 to 3 mil, it was focusing on raising your margins, growing the company a little bit by way of a good sales process to protect your time to allow you to do more. Is that a pretty accurate statement?
Pretty much, yeah.
Right on. So for the guys that are at 3 mil, and they're like, damn, I want to be richly at five. What do they got to do?
Well, I think you at that point you probably have to make sure you're getting the right leads and enough of them, and your average job cost is high enough.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I mean, obviously, if you can get your average job cost up high enough, you don't have to manage as many projects.
No, that's right. That's
So it's a
right.
little crazy to hit, 5 million if you're doing $10,000 projects.
I was gonna say
So
no.
luckily, we do some small projects for past clients, but luckily, we're having a
Taking them
handful that are three-quarter of a million or even right at 1 million. So
just
that makes it a little bit easier,
one
less
location.
things to juggle. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of revenue, less moving parts, and you
Perfect
complete.
world, do one $5 million job.
That'd be nice. And you self perform a lot of your stuff too, which is also incredible. And you're
Yeah,
also the only project manager.
I'm working on trying to build a good team of subs. That's something that we were implementing together. Basically,
Yep.
I have an employee whose job is just to screen and reach out to subs and build a bench. And we're
Right.
working through, and we're finding some good ones. We're finding some duds, but
Yeah.
her job is just to filter through and make sure they're insured and licensed and those types of things. So that has been helpful. It's resulted in a handful of good subs to join our team.
Which allows you to do more work without
Yeah.
necessarily paying more for it.
Yeah, or when employees miss work, I can help fill the gap with some of those subs. So it works out
Sure.
pretty good.
Sure. My favorite thing about subs, Rich, is they don't perform. You don't have to pay them. With employees,
Yeah.
you got to pay them for their time, no matter what.
Yeah, right now my biggest issue is having so many projects that if I have an emergency, making sure that sub is loyal enough to me to come as soon as I call.
Yep. Yep.
So the
So
fact that I haven't been using them for 20 to 30 years and have that relationship with all of them,
mhm.
I can be lower on the totem pole. So that's why I actually only have a handful that are key subs that I know if I call them right now, I can get them to the job today.
That's
So it's
amazing.
probably only three that will do it, but that's why the rest is in-house. Just
And
gives
what
me that control.
and what's your assistant doing to grow your sub bench?
She's reaching out through monitoring. This was under your guidance, but monitoring the Facebook groups and just looking at anyone posting and taking basically just scrubbing all the data. Anyone who posts something, she's making a list.
Sure.
And then once she has that list, she can send out invites to bid for our upcoming projects. So she'll send them the plans. She'll collect the invoices after they've given the insurance and license info.
I love it. So if what I'm understanding is going from 3 to 5 was just rearranging and expanding your manpower.
Yeah, pretty much along with increasing our
because you're
market share, I guess. We're
yeah,
like,
because you're the only project manager and the only sales guy, which is insane. Your work ethic, you're up at 4 a.m. and I don't think you log out till 8 p.m. daily.
yeah, it's a busy schedule, but
So
I'm
next,
my goal, that's one of the main reasons why I like what you have to offer. Is when I first saw you, I'm like, well, this guy's running work from Puerto Rico. Doesn't have half the construction knowledge as me from just years of hands-on. I'm like,
this guy's a project manager.
so
You
like
are.
yeah, let me see. I'll see if I can copy his methods and
No, that I
get some
admit,
free time.
Rich, I'm not qualified to hang a door or a picture frame. Absolutely not. No. So let's talk next year because your 90-hour work week has got to stop. What's your biggest initiative going into the new year before construction season starts again?
Well, my season doesn't break, but
Okay.
just the year change, we'll call that
Right.
our
Yeah.
trigger.
Yeah. 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 In
It,
2025.
it would be nice if we can have our logistics manager in place,
hmm
which we were close, but that fell through. So now we're gonna need to find at least one logistics manager.
Right. And
I
this
have I
this
have hired and found a good lead carpenter who
nice.
has aspirations of potential project management. So
Maybe we promote from within.
that's likely.
Yeah.
And then I'm still eyeballing absorbing a one-man show and maybe bring him on.
Right. And what are we going to make him?
I mean, I'm guessing he'd be a project
PM.
manager, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So for these guys listening, the logistics manager in HomePride, what we want them to do is what? Just run ordering of the material, run delivery of the material, run punch list maybe.
Yeah, and support the future project manager.
And that's going to save you what? 10, 15, 20 hours a week? What would it be for you think?
I would say yes. So if I could get to the point where I don't have to go to the jobs just to make sure that the jobs are running,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that alone saves me 5 hours a week, easy, maybe
Easy.
10.
Right. Right.
So I'm still going to the jobs. And that's the other thing, like where we were just talking the other day about getting the hourly guys on some sort of accountability and incentive plan because I need them to police themselves.
That's right.
So if someone or people are slacking off, I want the other guys to realize that those slacking off guys are costing money out of their pocket.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
now, they just think it's coming out of my pocket.
No. No. Yeah.
I need to teach them
They
enough to know that it's actually coming out of their family's pocket.
yeah. They
You just
they
don't know it.
they think this money comes from the bank of Rich Lee.
Yeah, and they think it's overflowing, but
Right.
the problem is it's coming out right off their table, right off their kids' Christmas presents, all that stuff. Because if their
Right.
inefficiencies are draining the profit out of the business, there's just nothing left for anyone to have.
That's right. That's right. So So we were talking the other day. I mean, I'm not sure if we got to a formal arrangement on it. It's okay to tell me that, hey, Lane, this is too like, let's not talk about this publicly. We'll edit it out. But what do you what would you say? What would you say your slippage is from estimated profit to final job cost? Like just ballpark on average.
I'd say 5 to 10%.
Okay. So I mean, like using. I mean, is it more towards 10 or more towards 5?
It depends on the job.
Could we
But
use 8% as like a round number?
yeah, I would say that's fair.
And so what would your average your average project size be?
Right now for this year, I think we'll probably say 400,000.
400,000. So I mean, like, I'm spitballing here. What
It's like
if
32,000.
I'm gonna pull up my calculator here for so if we're at 400,000, $400,000, and we're losing 8%, like, yeah, 32 G's is going out the company just per project due to inefficiency, right?
Hmm.
And so, like, are you like, you and I counted earlier, there's like 19 trade phases, and with these in-house guys, it's really hard to get them. What we don't want to do is pay them any more to just do their job right. So we got to find a way to pay them out of savings. And so what we're finding is about $32,000 of like projected loss per project. How much of that do you want to keep for yourself? And or a better question is, how much of that do you think would be appropriate to tie to performance bonuses for delivering projects on time within estimated man hours?
I mean, I'd take your guidance on this, but in my mind, I would say half of it would be reasonable for the
Yeah.
start.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
ultimately, we just keep going till we get, as you call it, grippage.
Yep.
But
That's right.
I don't
Okay.
think we can go from
No.
-8% to positive three
Well,
percent or
eh,
whatever in a
we'll
short amount of time.
no, I mean, to just looking at past companies, we'll probably reclaim about 6 points of that. About, yeah, what I found is about 20% of our loss typically comes from design and estimating, and then the rest is just in the field from our in-house guys being slow.
Yeah, and
So
that's why I would say half of it would be fair because I'm also responsible for the design right now. So it's ultimately my fault
yeah,
when the
so
design is the concern. Like if we're
mhm,
building, like we had a job where we built to plan, but the owner and my ex-designer who moved away a year ago, they had different plans, but it wasn't on the plan.
sure, sure,
So I'm going to eat that just to make sure the owner's happy and
yeah,
we get her the bathroom on this edition that she wants rather than what's on the plan. So that's another, couple thousand, boom,
sure.
goes the wrong direction. But that doesn't have anything to do with my employees, So if we split it in half, I think that's fair,
So
incentivize them and
on average, we're looking at 16 grand in the bonus pool. And the way you and I operate, if it's a remodel, there's 18 different trade inspections. If it's new construction, there's 20. I mean, let's use the big one at 20. So essentially what we're saying is the crew bonus for each trade is $800, per trade inspection. And so this only works though if we tell them, hey, here's the deal. If you guys complete this piece of work within this estimated time, not calendar time, but like man hours on the job.
Mhm.
And you have, like, on a typical job, how many guys do you have typically working on a crew? Four, six, eight?
yeah, employees on one job site because we have so many going, it's more
Mm-hmm.
like three.
Okay. So what we're saying is, hey guys, there's 20 checkpoints on this project. You finish each checkpoint under budgeted time in man hours. Every dude gets a 260, call it $270 cash bonus.
Hmm.
You think that might motivate your guys to hustle a little bit?
Yeah, I think it would.
I mean, I wonder what's going to happen to the guys that don't have work ethic when their peers are busting their ass and they're dragging. You're not going to have to yell at them, are you?
No, I shouldn't have to. That would be the good thing.
Yeah. No, so I mean, I was just doing that for the audience and for the guys that are listening to this podcast, watching this on YouTube. I'll have a link to a tool for you to figure out how to calculate these performance bonuses out of your projected loss per project. That way, it's coming out of found money, not out of your ass. Um,
Mm.
when are you going to institute this, man? Is this going to be something that we're going to do 1st of January, or are we going to do this right away?
Yeah, I have a feeling it would be best to get the discussions going
Sure.
during December. I
Yep.
mean, we're almost in December now, but
Yeah.
get the discussions going now with the plan to implement it on all future starts. I
Yeah.
think makes the most sense.
So if we implement the system in terms of expectations, we're planning on we're expecting 8% slippage. If these guys all hit their bonuses, then there's only going to be like 2 points of slippage, and you save 16 grand. You give those guys 16 grand, and if your average project is $400,000 and you saved 16 grand, but you have 2% of 400,000 is $8,000. You're in grippage territory, my man.
Hmm.
That's when I always love it when a project will outperform estimated profit.
Any positive is good. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Okay, so this is our first initiative going into the new year. This thing, I mean, like the guys, they have nothing to rebel against because it's all new money for them. There's no stick, it's all carrot. What are we going to do next to help get to 8 million?
I think I got to reduce the number of jobs, which means raise the average job price.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing the math earlier. I think 500,000
Mm-hmm.
would be comfortable for hitting 8 million.
Yep. So a lot of additions, a
So
lot
that's
of
like 16 projects.
yeah,
I don't know if I'll get that lucky because that's super easy,
custom
but
homes.
we don't have a lot of custom homes. My neighborhood up the hill has some big ones, but I
Yeah,
haven't I haven't teased into those guys. I know who owns the lots, but so those are $4 million builds. So if I get,
sure.
two of those, that's it. But
So at what point are we going to know, like, how are we going to know to pivot? I mean, at what point you're going to be like, you know what, it's probably not feasible for us to add another $100,000 average ticket. Instead, we need to produce 25% more, and so we should probably look at hiring a project manager.
well, I would like to hire a project manager for sure.
Oh, okay,
I think either way, because that will get me some time back.
sure,
But and I also think if we target marketing in some higher neighborhoods that may be
right,
15 minutes away,
yeah.
where the houses are twice as valuable, that also would make that task a little easier.
Are you referring to the Silicon Valley, or are we going
Well, not
south?
quite that far, just
Oh,
just the peninsula, as it's called,
right,
like Burlingame, Millbrae.
yeah,
That's
okay.
where a teardown's like 2 million versus where I'm at, maybe a million. So
That's so wild, and you're on the beach too. That's so counterintuitive to me.
yeah, it's just I don't know what it is. It's probably just the history of like Pacific in general is more blue collar in the past,
Sure.
and it's lags behind a little bit.
Right on. So if I'm hearing you right, we got to hire a PM. We got to institute the performance pay for the self perform guys. We need to target the marketing in those markets where you don't have word of mouth. Um, geez,
Yeah,
do
we
my
recently onboarded a designer, so
mhm. Oh, did that
yeah,
fall? That worked out?
yeah, so she's already on their first plan. So not interior designer, but architectural designer, so doing plan sets,
Cool.
and she'll likely take over even the entire submission process.
Sure.
So if I could ramp her up to do that 100%, that would save me quite a bit of time as well. So
Yeah, how much time do you think you would typically spend drafting and designing a project before this person?
so before she came on board, I was outsourcing design and I was basically the design director.
Yes.
But that was still quite a bit of hand holding, and I had to do all of the submitting, all
Yeah.
of the management. So I think she should be able to save me, easy 10 hours a week
10
off of
hours
my.
a week. And so, 10 hours a week, 10 hours a week, if we reinvest that back in the business, realistically, that's what, six more sales appointments?
That should be. I mean, if I'm focusing on sales
Mm-hmm.
and just big picture stuff for the business, that would
Yeah,
also likely help get our bottom line average cost up.
for sure. And what would you say is your close rate from appointment to contract?
We have a pretty high percentage of close. The way I do it is I sell design first. So
Mm-hmm.
I probably sell 80% of my designs.
Wow. Okay.
Uh,
And how many of and what's the percentage from design to
and
build?
then from there, I mean, it's pretty high.
80%
Another
high?
80 of them probably. Like
Okay,
it's
so
very rare if I get someone to design not to go to build unless I feel like it's not going to be a good fit.
so if we multiply those together, you're running 64% conversion of your opportunities. That's pretty intense.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
most of my stuff comes still semi-warm, even
Mm-hmm.
the Google, and I
Yeah.
don't know if it's because of the reviews and whatnot, but even the
It
people who
is.
come,
It's
they come
all
from Google
reputation. Yeah.
slightly warm,
Yeah.
so it's a
Okay.
little helpful. I mean, we're in a real, like I said, we're in a small area, maybe maybe
So
5 miles across, so it's pretty easy to have some reputation built up.
so let's say we take that 10 hours and instead of that all going into sales, let's say 5 hours of that goes back to quality of living, and 2.5 hours goes to working on the business, and another 2.5 hours goes to an extra sales. You could probably squeeze out two more sales appointments in a week, and you're running a 64% conversion. So that's picking up an extra contract a week on top of what you're already doing. And so 50, let's say 50 weeks in a year, theoretically, with that designer there, we could at least sell. I mean, can't produce or design that yet, but we could
Yeah,
at
right now
least,
the production's the
yeah,
biggest bottleneck.
we could sell another 64 contracts, and at $400,000, we're looking at least the capacity to add another 25 million top line to the business. So then this becomes a game of getting more designers. But I mean, it probably wouldn't be smart to do that until we get more subs, because with those subs, that doesn't add to your overhead. So we can acquire more of those relationships to figure out, and then open up throughput for the designers to design more. Does that kind of make, what do you think of that plan?
Yeah, what I need to do is that combination. 25 is a big number, but
Yeah.
I've always for the last couple of years felt like I could sell 10.
Easy.
I
That,
just
that's the,
can't build I just can't build 10
no,
as I'm structured. But
no. We can't. And also, what we're also not factoring in is as we go into the peninsula and we start doing more push marketing, that conversion rate's going to go down a bit. But
yeah, until I get a presence, I would say that's true.
the point I'm trying to make is, right. Let's go super conservative. You're a $5 million shop, hiring this designer, and she's going to cost us what, 150,000 a year,
If she hits all her bonuses, probably, yeah.
and that allows us to add another 5 million top line, and your profitability is what, 20%,
Our net or gross?
net net.
We're not at 20% right now, but I think if we can get somewhere in that 15 to 20 would be very
Yeah.
nice.
Okay. So that represents an extra $750,000 to your family, minus the 150 that goes to the designer. You're getting 500% return on investment with that designer, man.
And if we can get her to become the design director, because right now
Hmm.
she's reporting to me, but if I can get her to be autonomous without me, then that's really
Right.
where, we can scale that and she can have a team under her. And
Then you can focus on drilling your project management team to not piss you off every day.
yeah, because if I'm not directing design and I'm getting hands off on other areas, I could spend the time making sure like the onboarding goes well rather than being spread thin. And that's
Sure.
another issue. If you don't onboard properly, I mean, you usually set yourself up for some trouble too.
Sure. So let's wrap this up for the guys listening. I mean, we talking about your plan to go from 5 to 8 involves hiring that designer, getting accountable performance pay, and firing up some more marketing after hiring a project manager, which sounds like a mouthful, but that's just 4 steps. We have
Yeah.
4 quarters in the year. This is going to happen in sequence. Um, what advice do you have for these contractors? Yeah. Let's just say, what advice do you have to the guy that's on the tools? Yeah, self-performing, 1.5, 2 million. What would you say to that guy?
So unless they want to just be self-performing and stay where they're at, I would recommend getting off the tools as soon as possible and start implementing some change. Because if you
Sure.
just staying on the tools, you're going to stay on the tools until you can't work anymore, and that'll be
Right.
too late.
Right. And we can't even begin to unpack how to get off the tools until we understand how profit, where we're spending our money, right?
Yeah, that's probably the one benefit I had. Like I have no desire to prove how good of a craftsman I can whittle wood. Like that does me no good, and I have
At the
no
wood.
interest. Like, yeah, like I hear people like that's their pride of their business, and it's like, yeah, okay, well, that's cool. So it sounds like you have a woodworking hobby.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Rich, I appreciate you spending some time with us. Forgive my dogs in the background going nuts. My kid just got to the office.
I actually
Uh,
can't hear them, so I don't know.
oh,
Hopefully it didn't mess up your recording.
it's all good, man. So, hey, man. Again, I want to thank you for coming on and sharing your story. It's going to help out a lot of guys, a lot of contractors, give them perspective as they plan out their next year, man. So, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, let me hit the stop. Come on.